Hello and welcome back. So in this video, we are going to discuss about the significance of the interaction terms. So you already know about the interaction terms. So suppose we have number of variables or the features, for a model to train. When we have a data set, then in that case, the individual features may not be giving you that combined picture when you are combining two or more features. The effect of two or more features may not be visible to you if you are just looking into the single features independently, individually, you can say. So in that case, the complex relationship between these two or more than two features need to be understood. Then in that case, we go for the interaction terms. So what is the use of the interaction terms? What is the significance? What you can find with the help of the interaction terms? So the very first thing that has been written here is the synergetic effect. For example, here it has been given the example of marketing. Suppose you are combining two marketing channels. You want to know that what will be the benefit if we combine two marketing channels like the email and the social media. Then what will be the impact on my product? In that case, you can find out like if I use both of these, then obviously I'm going to get a greater impact than the sum of their individual effects, right? So if you see, if you're going to use only social media, then the effect is different, and then if you're only going to use the email, then the effect is different, right? The benefit using email as a channel and the benefit using social media as a channel, that can be separately taken and that can be combined together to find out like what is the complete benefit. I mean, what kind of benefit you are getting. But when you combine both these two, email and social media, both these two, then the combined effect of these two, right, will be higher than the sum of the individual effects of email and social media uses in the on the marketing. Right. So I hope you are getting the point here. So synergetic effect, similarly, it has been given for the product design. So if you are combining two features like color of a particular material, right, a specific color and a particular material, if you are combining two, then you are able to get a kind of desirable product that I then you are not able to get through only one feature, or you can say only one uh, you know one of the parameters. So if you combine two parameters, then maybe you are able to get a better product that you are imagining. Here it's like antagonistic effects. So a drug interaction might reduce the effectiveness or increase the side effect of a medication. This is a very simple example. In the real life, you could have seen this thing. These scenarios exist. I mean, there are certain drugs when combined together, they create more harm, or sometimes they become more effective, right? So the antagonistic effects that can be also, uh, you know, understood with the help of the interaction terms. Then comes the environmental science. The impact of pollution from two sources might be less severe than the sum of their individual impacts due to neutralizing effect. It may be that there are two kinds of pollutants, right? One pollutant and the other pollutant. Both these pollutants, in absence of each other, they are creating more pollution. But each of these pollutants have, kind of compound or kind of molecules of a particular atom, so that when they are combining, when they are combined together, or when they come together, then the element in one of the pollutant can neutralize the element in the other pollutant, right? So in that case, when they are combined together, then maybe rather than increasing the pollution, maybe that the pollution is decreasing, right? So this is again antagonistic effect, right? So in the environmental sciences as well, this could be used to study the things, interaction terms. So next one is conditional relationship. So let's consider the example of a finance. The impact of interest rates on housing price might be different depending on the level of unemployment. Okay, so impact of interest rates, I mean, on housing prices. There are various interest rates are applied on the loan that you have taken, but maybe based on the unemployment level, the interest rate could be higher, right? For the based on the level of unemployment, right? This could be one of the effects. So this is a conditional relationship. Level of employment is one of the condition to have the interest rate on effect on the housing price. So unemployment into interest rate, these two interaction terms are deciding the housing prices. Okay, so there are two terms, unemployment and the interest rates, which can be considered as the interaction terms here. Now comes the retail. The effectiveness of a promotional discount might vary based on the customer's loyalty status. Okay, so loyalty status and the promotional discount, right? And the result is effectiveness. The result is effectiveness. This is why. I mean, why is the final result that you want to know. So effectiveness is something that you want to know, and promotional discount is something can be considered as one feature, and the loyalty status is something which could be considered as another feature. When you combine both these two, promotional discount plus the loyalty status, how much loyal a customer is, based on these two factors, the effectiveness of the promotional discount could be understood. Like, if we are providing a promotional discount, then is it more effective to catch more customer or to retain the existing customers, right? So it will depend on the loyalty status as well. Okay, so this is the conditional relationship, where wherever the conditional relationships exist, then in that case, the interaction terms are useful. Then comes the non-linear relationships, economics. Okay, let us see this interesting example. The relationship between GDP and inflation might not be linear, and interaction terms can help capture non-linear patterns. You know that the GDP, the gross domestic product of a country, and the inflation. I mean, as soon as your GDP increases, it doesn't mean that yes, inflation will also increase. Sometimes maybe that number of products or the amount of product that you are producing, that has also increased, right? So it may not be always a linear relationship, right? This is a bit conceptual example. Suppose there GDP is let me explain you one thing. Like, GDP is something which is the amount of product, the value of product, or the total amount of the value of the product that has been created within the boundaries of a country, right? Doesn't matter who you are a foreigner or whosoever. If you are within the boundaries of a country and you are producing some kind of product, you are generating some kind of product, and you have generated some kind of amount as a result of selling those products, or whatever amount of, not only selling, I mean the amount, total amount of the total products that you have generated, the total amount related to those products, right? All those things are considered as the GDP of a country, right? And the GDP is always dependent on the number of product items that you have created, number of units of the product that you have created, right? But ultimately, it is measured in terms of the money. There could be two things. It may be that your GDP could have increased because you created more units of a product, right? And on the other hand, it could be that because of the inflation, the price of the raw material increases, and as a result of that, even after producing less number of units of the same product, your GDP goes up. So in this case, you can see that it is not always linear, the inflation and the GDP, right? This is not always linear. An interaction term can help capture the non-linear pattern, right? It can capture the non-linear pattern, and it can give you some other insights as well, like how it happens, why it happens, and how frequently it happens. What are the factors, other factors which are causing this thing, that sometimes the inflation is high and GDP is, because of that, it is only high, but ultimately you are not generating that much unit of products, right? So that is a non-linear relationship, right? This is an example of nonlinear relationship in case of economics. Now comes the climate science. The impact of temperature on crop yield might depend on the level of rainfall, and an interaction term can model this nonlinear relationship, right? It may be that rainfall is obviously an important factor. This is one of the feature for your crop, right? Suppose the rainfall is good, then obviously you will expect that your crop will be higher. Your crop yield will be good, But at the same time, if the temperature somehow is varying to such an extent, right, to such an extent that your crop yield is not, is not that good this year or any year for that matter. So there is an impact of temperature on crop yield, and it may depend on the level of rainfall, right? So maybe that when the rain is less and temperature is also less or maybe high, then your crop is giving good yield. But it may be that sometimes the rainfall is higher and temperature is lower or higher, then also it is giving you the good crop. But it may be when the temperature is higher but the rainfall is less, then it may be that your yield is not good. So in that case, when there is no linear relationship can be understood, then in that case, this interaction term can capture a relationship, non-linear relationship between the two different features. Okay, so this is all. These are all the cases, right? So obviously, in the market research, in the machine learning, this is really useful, and also in the risk assessment, right? Risk assessment, you can see in antagonistic effect. This is again the risk assessment only in case of drugs, right? In case of environmental sciences, it is the risk assessment. This can be used for the risk assessment, right? So interaction terms can help assess the risk of complex events such as natural disaster or financial crisis. So this is how these things could help you if you're designing the solutions, if you're designing a machine learning model, right, or any model, any machine learning model for these kind of scenarios. So there you can understand, and there you can consider the interaction terms, which will give you a better, which will provide you the pathway for a better training approach to your model, right? So this is how you can understand these things. So risk assessment, by carefully considering the domain knowledge and the underlying data, you can effectively identify and create interaction terms that can significantly enhance the performance of your model. This is very important point, because it's not only like you can suppose there are 3 or 4 features A, B, C, D. You cannot randomly pick A, B, or A, C, or C, D. You need to be have a good knowledge, good domain knowledge. Suppose if you are creating a model for some for this kind of thing, like economics related uh, forecasting, or anything like maybe climate sciences related model you are going to create, then in that case you should have the good knowledge in climate science or economics or whatever the case may be. You need to have a good knowledge, good domain knowledge. If you don't have, you need to have a expert to understand the requirement well, to understand the things well, so that you can prepare a good model, right? Because you need to identify the interaction terms. If there are 4 features A, B, C, and D, then what are those features that you will use for interaction terms? This is really important, and that you cannot find without a good domain knowledge, good domain understanding, right? So the domain knowledge is really important in case you are going to use the interaction terms, right? So the whole purpose for this discussion was that you should be able to decide when to use the interaction terms, first thing. And the second thing is that if you are going to use the interaction terms to train your model, then in that case you should be able to equip yourself with such a great uh, domain knowledge, so that you are correctly able to decide what should be those interaction terms in your data, right? So I hope you must have understood, and this was really interesting to discuss, I hope, and you must have understood that how it is used in machine learning models. So with this, I would like to say have a nice day and bye bye. Thank you.